All right, welcome back to another episode of Evolve, where we are getting real about relationships. I am Leah.
I am Greg.
And I want to welcome a special guest we have tonight. This is Anthony, and this is someone I have worked with in the past. We had a great job together not too long ago, and he is being gracious enough to come as a guest on our podcast to talk about relationships. So please, with no further ado, Anthony, you want to talk about yourself and introduce yourself?
Hey, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Hi, I'm Anthony. I'm a black male, 35 years young.
Absolutely.
Identified as a straight male. Not much going on. I'm in the middle of a career change. Firefighter, guys. Yeah, that's a big leap from photographer.
Oh, yeah.
Halfway through fire school right now, so yeah, not too much going on. Also have an amazing little girl. Everything that I do is for her. So
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. So what? When I invited you on to be a guest here, what was your first thought that you were like, oh, I definitely want to do this because I want to share what?
I just going through the process of what I'm going through right now, definitely grieving my marriage that is no longer going to be a thing, grieving who I thought I was going to be moving forward in my life, and realizing I have to kind of call an audible and change things around, and how to do that in a positive way.
I love that you just said that. How to do that in a positive way. And you can say, that's the whole reason we do this podcast. We were just talking about that before we went live, that just the podcast is not here to, bash our exes or bash our experiences, but to really just see how can I evolve as a human and how can I move forward with better relationships. And we do that first by self-reflection, internalizing stuff.
Well, first you got to see, there's a perspective that each has in a divorce. I was divorced twice, and I have my perspective, and I'm sure my ex has her perspective.
Right.
And we can give our perspective, but we have to give it in a way that's not...
Always accusing the other party?
Always accusing the other party.
Right.
There is a responsibility, I think, on both parties to whatever. So this is not, like we said before, this is not about bashing, but when you tell your side of the story, you have to tell some things that maybe are uncomfortable or didn't. So you got to be free about that as well, but just not go on to a tangent and that's stupid, right?
So what are you, so what are you experiencing? This is still new for you, right? Why don't you fill the audience in on the parts that you're comfortable sharing and your experience so far with all of this?
Just to fill everybody in, had about a 10-year relationship with my ex.
And you were legally married that whole time, you're saying?
Yeah, for 8 years. For 2 years we were dating. I proposed. Then we were together for 8 years. I thought we were doing really well. Every relationship has its ups and downs and
absolutely,
difficult seasons, but I was locked in. I was like, I'm not giving this up. We're going to work through our problems that we have, if we have any. And, so far things were going good until, of course, they weren't.
Yeah.
So I was kind of caught off guard about how everything happened. Sort of just wound up, we got into a disagreement, about some financial stuff, about some relationship stuff. It seemed like we were working it out, and then things got really messy. My parents got involved. She got involved with, going back and forth with my parents, and things kind of just blew up from there. And October 1st, she packed up everything and took off.
So were your parents trying to take sides, or were they trying to mediate in that situation?
They were not trying to take sides.
Oh, okay.
I think that my ex views it as they were trying to take sides.
Sure.
I feel like they were trying to mediate things, but things were said on both parties that should not have been said. And there was a level of disrespect that happened, and it went all downhill really quickly.
And you said that was October 1st that it actually...
That was October 1st that all of that happened and transpired. Okay. And then from there, things just kept happening. Wanting to see my daughter and then being told, no, you don't get to see her.
Because she left the house, you're saying, at that point?
Because she left the house. I thought she would, I thought she'd go to her parents' house, cool off, come back, we work things out, we go to counseling. Whatever we needed to come back together, heal, and keep moving forward. That didn't happen. So she left October 1st, and then I was surprised with being served with papers the day before Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well, and Greg, you shared that you've gone through this process twice. Were you served both times, or did you ever do the serving?
The first, my first marriage, I paid for it, but my ex went and got an attorney, and there was no.
You had no children involved.
There was no children. Yeah. We had just got an apartment. We bought some furniture. She wanted to stay in the apartment because we signed a 2-year lease. I mean, we were just married. It was.
Well, you were only 19 at that time, so that's really young to get married and then divorce really quickly. Then the second marriage was a little bit longer, but
we bought a lot of furniture, and then so she wanted that. But yeah, it was.
There wasn't a lot to contend over at that point, but when you do have kids, and you guys had a child at this point, and she was, how old, a year, Anthony, that you had?
Just had her big first-year birthday party. We had family over, everything was going good, and actually how the argument started was I had called her on my lunch break to see what she wanted to do for her birthday, and things just kind of took off from there, and I feel like I was laid into and blamed for a lot of things, and it got nasty from there, unfortunately.
I just posted something on LinkedIn earlier this week, and it's a picture. I don't know if you know the Awkward Yeti comics. Have you ever seen those? They're awesome. But
I'm sure I have.
Oh my goodness.
I've never seen them, so don't.
Oh, they're so good. Yeah.
But she showed me that.
Most of his comics are like body organs. So it's your heart, and it has a personality, and it's a character in your brain, and all the different body organs. But in this specific one, it was the heart, and he was in the first panel, he's carrying past trauma, a huge rock on his back of past trauma. And then on top of that becomes stresses and other little rocks. And then he trips, a minor inconvenience, it says. And he trips over something small.
No, and there's a little step.
A little step is the minor inconvenience. And so the point of the comic is no one sees what he's carrying because it's all in his heart, he's this little heart character.
Well, the next scene is they don't have that thing.
They don't show what he's carrying.
Someone standing there and goes, "It's just a little step."
What's your big deal?
What's the big deal?
But people don't realize what else is going on. So you just, and I'm tying this back into what you said. I just made a phone call and asked a question, and everything unraveled. And it's always points. I mean, there was obviously more. Maybe in just her mind or in her heart that was going on that you just didn't see or wasn't aware that it was such a big deal.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that comic. It's gotten so much traction for me on LinkedIn. They just love it because everyone has this moment where it's you're breaking down in front of someone and they're like, dude, wow, it's just a simple phone call. What's the problem? Or it's just a simple this.
The straw that broke the camel's back. You've heard me say,
Yeah. So what have you been doing since all this has unraveled for yourself, the relationships involved? How have you been healing through all this?
So October 1st, she left. Mm-hmm. I started therapy October 2nd.
Okay.
Emergency session, got in to see somebody right away.
Yeah.
My whole entire world was gone. She took the dog, she took herself, and she took our daughter, and I had no idea when or if I'd ever see them again. And the place that I found, oh my God, like I can't say enough good things about them, because I was having a difficult time finding anybody to talk to. It was an emergency. I had to find someone. I had to get seen. And I was calling all these numbers, and I kept on getting voicemails and, oh, we'll get back to you. And this is the first time I've had like that. This is the first time that I've ever felt that I needed to talk to somebody that badly.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine anyone that's in crisis calling these places and being told, you have to wait, we'll get back to you.
Wow, your story is so parallel to mine. I remember my second wife, I showed up, she was at the park with her mom, and I came by to see her, I guess, for lunch.
I think it was lunch break too.
Yeah, and I showed up there, and she says to me that she had enough, and she was going to stay with her mom, and that was it. And I was like, "You're kidding?" I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
I literally thought she was kidding, and I was just blown away. I was like, "Wait a minute!" But also looking back at that, my own head was in my own world, and so. But going back to the feeling, I can relate. That first day, I went home. It was like everything was taken from me, and I didn't know what to do.
So what's happening? I've been through breakups with a boyfriend and that kind of thing, but a marriage, that's so much deeper of a level of commitment. I want to ask both of you, and you can both answer. However, Anthony, you can go first, I guess. But like, what are you feeling in that moment with that news?
Like that news, like when,
like physically, emotionally, mentally, like where is the feeling in your body? Like what goes through your head?
I just broke down. Like I just remember my chest was feeling tight.
Mm-hmm.
I could not focus on anything. You just have so many emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get drunk. I couldn't get high.
I think you shared you couldn't even eat food.
I couldn't even eat food.
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't eat food. I actually remember it was 7 days after going without food, going to Lester's Diner, sitting at the and looking at and saying to myself, what would I eat if I really wanted to eat?
If I was hungry.
Yeah. What would I eat? And I made myself eat that first meal it was eggs over easy with hash browns.
Oh, Jesus, you remember.
And a piece of toast, two slices of toast, not cut with butter.
And did it feel like gravel going down, or did you actually enjoy
It was just like our son the other day when he was trying to eat breakfast. He
had to almost throw up.
Something inside of me knew it was good for me. But at that time, I was living in Motel 6. I was
oh, dear God.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I mean, just like you said, Greg, like not wanting to eat, not wanting to drink, couldn't sleep, like all of it. Like, and if you did eat something, it didn't taste right.
Yeah.
So then
I've heard people say that there's no taste.
The next week, because after I ate, my diet was literally I would go to I worked for Orkin at the time, and I was one of the managers, and there was a soda machine and a chip machine, and I'd get Cheetos. The crispy Cheetos,
crunchy Cheetos,
and a Coca-Cola, and
that's all you ate for a while.
Yeah.
This is not an episode that promotes unhealthy eating.
What saved me from was. I went to church and I started dating this girl. What a flake that was. So
hey, we're not going to bash people.
Oh, that's right. I was a flake, man.
Oh, listen, Anthony, I know you got dating stories too. Like everyone's got these like post-divorce.
Well, that's the first place I went because I figured, okay, if she don't want me, then I'm gonna. Because there was, she told me in this whole thing I should go get therapy. I remember
your ex-wife.
My ex.
Oh,
and so
okay.
I went and got a therapist, yeah. And it was $100 an hour. And I went.
And this was like 35, 40 years ago.
Yeah. And so I paid I had 2 sessions. The second session, the guy says, he stopped me in the middle of it. He goes, dude, I'm going to tell you, your wife's having an affair. And I'm like, no way. And so that's I
See,
said,
and I come from this, I mean, side where I'm like, how could you not know that you're gonna break up? Like, divorce to me has always felt like something you should see coming a mile away. So I never really understood it until I started talking to other people in that situation.
no, like I said, I wasn't the angel husband at all.
Oh, I'm
so,
sure. Yeah.
I've already told you all the.
So, I mean, and
demons.
Anthony, you can say, like, your perspective on that. Like, did you see this coming before it came? You said no, correct?
I mean, like, I didn't see it before it was coming. The last big argument that we had before it came was me wanting to see my daughter. And my ex had her for, 3 weeks.
Because she had already moved out and you were saying, I want to see you guys.
I want to see.
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
And then, we had a fight about her coming to get her stuff because I was like, okay, well, this isn't my house. We're with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are being gracious enough to say, hey, like, you left in a hurry. You didn't consider everything that you needed. Come back, like, get what you need. Like, maybe in that time, like, while you're back, we can all talk and sit down and figure out what happened. She absolutely didn't want to do any of that. I sent her a text message like, hey, my parents said that you could come and get, your stuff. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. And, I wake up and my phone is full of all these text messages like, hey, thank you. Like, I talked to my parents. We're going to get a U-Haul and we're going to come and we're just going to get everything. And we're going to go to storage and get all my stuff out of storage too. And that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hold on a second. And that was another fight. So,
Yeah, I was the opposite because my ex's family, we spent a lot of time with her
family,
son,
yeah.
And her father and I were really good friends at that time. But blood is thicker than water, so I mean, and I respected that for sure. But it was difficult for sure in that when there's especially after you said 8 years, we were married 8 years as well.
7 or 8 years, I think I remember you saying, yeah.
And there's a ripping there. You have fights, and you don't ever
think that it's
think
the
it's
last
going to go.
fight.
That fight was what took it to the edge. It's like, wow, we've been doing that for years, and I guess that's where yes, I was involved in other things, but I cared for my wife. I cared for my kids. I thought I was a good, decent husband and father, and
yeah, you weren't coming home drunk and beating up the kids or stealing money or you guys were good dads and good husbands for the most part.
She did not work until actually the very last couple months of our marriage. I mean, she wanted badly to go back to work, and I'm thankful she did because it really kind of screwed her in the alimony part. and she had insurance, so that screwed her there in the divorce. But anyway, the divorce was a funny gig. that was really.
But like you were going back to what you were saying, and Anthony, you were just implying is the fact that like that much time together, your families become families.
Right.
So divorce, affects not just you and her, it's her family and your family and anyone else, friends, and, like this ripple effect that it hurts. Yeah.
No, it was everybody. Like you said, like no one saw this coming. And then, the friends are affected by it. They're like, well, why didn't she reach out and talk to us? Mm-hmm. We had no idea that she was unhappy. And then, they turn around and they're deleted from Facebook. They have no idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. My parents are extremely hurt because they had a very close relationship with my ex.
Yeah.
My ex would call them and be like, hey, I just haven't heard your voice in a while. I wanted to see how you were doing. They loved and adored her.
Yeah, my parents loved and adored.
Yeah, but I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. Like, that many years, like, you build bonds.
Right.
It took me about 7 years to actually get to a place where I had a head on my shoulders that I could think clearly.
Wow.
And It did. I mean, I went through a lot of.
Yeah, but you didn't
reach.
you weren't celibate during those 7 years.
No.
Yeah, we're talking a guy
no.
here, and you were like in your late 20s, early 30s, same
Yeah.
age maybe as Anthony. So you're not going to be
And the
not
early
dating.
years with the kids, I always they came with me everywhere I went. But then, as they got older, I was going to ask Anthony a question. It was, what are you doing to recover? Where I went. It sounds like from what we discussed earlier, I went on a binge and said, okay,
F it all.
except my children.
Right.
I really, that was
Yeah.
like that any time that I had with them, that was.
You were straight and lit narrow.
I felt I was. They could probably tell another story. The early years, definitely. But I will tell you, it was like, because I had a single life again, I was having fun. I was married at 19. I didn't go to college. I made money early.
So you went from home to marriage. Right away,
I went from home into my, I remember I was telling you I was in at Motel 6.
Yeah.
And then I had to call my mom because I didn't know how to do laundry. I had never done it before. Both my wives and my mother did all my laundry.
He was a spoiled ass man.
That's how I knew something was going on, because my second wife, she stopped doing my laundry. It's like, wow, I'm wearing, because she used to iron
Okay, so you're getting distracted. What was the question
sorry.
you wanted to ask Anthony?
How are you recovering now? It took me 7 years to get to a place where I could actually think again.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Tell us what you're doing to get to the place where, because you're eons ahead of where I was at, and it's only been October.
Yeah.
So tell us that.
What I've been doing, definitely the therapy has been helping a lot. Really focusing in on my daughter and realizing, hey, I still want to be the father that she deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to be a broken man for her. I want to be whole and complete, and realizing that, hey, that is my objective. That helps so much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working out, focusing on Fire Academy. I have stuff that just keeps me really grounded as a whole person. I have my friends, they call, they see what I'm doing. I'll go out and hang out with them. I'm into video games, so I'm back to doing that.
So were you. That's so funny.
And enjoying my video games. That helps me really, really just like detach and experience escapism.
What video game do you like the most right now?
Right now I'm playing Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay.
There are so many more video games than we had Atari. So
Yeah, I had Pong,
that's what I had for you had for your divorce was Pong. Ding.
No, my
I love that you even give yourself like the video games. I mean, it's just, you just said, I can just kind of zone out and I don't have to be anything.
Nope. So for the character in the game and
Right.
focus on what I'm doing in the game, and I just get to zone out.
Yeah.
Like, I love that, because there is so much. It's kind of overwhelming if I do allow it to just sit there and ruminate in my mind.
And it sounds like you're really good at, like you said, self-evaluating. You were mentioning before, I think we were live, that you grew up and your parents taught you to self-reflect and consider things. So I have a question for you. Like, have you had like periods of time through all of this where you do ruminate and you do sit in it?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's definitely. My fire school is about an hour's drive away, both ways, and during that hour drive, I can't help but sit there and think about everything.
Right.
What did I not see that I should have seen earlier? I think about everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, I think about the relationship. I think about my daughter. Try not to think about my dog too much, because miss my freaking dog, and I know I'm not gonna see her again.
Sounds almost like a country song, but
I was gonna say, man.
She took my dog to the truck.
I remember driving to my work and having the same meltdowns, but it was always I always had some kind of hard rock and roll breakup song, like telling the I'm done with you. I'm done. We're moving on.
So do you have a song, like your breakup song, that you resort to, Anthony?
Like, I play a lot of Metallica.
Oh.
And listening to Green Day.
Oh gosh.
When I think breakup song, I think like 90s R&B.
Okay, yeah. You're not listening to Kiss by a Rose on its Grave.
What?
Don't
Seal.
Oh,
I can't think of the
God.
name of that song. That like it's like everyone plays that song for breakups in the 90s. I'm like, come on. So I mean, and I like that, and I appreciate your being transparent of like, dude, there is some pretty low moments. I am not okay, but I also want to share like these tools, and here's the tools, and you're giving listeners who have maybe been through or are going through just like you the same thing, like that encouragement that like, hey, there is also a bright light, that you can focus on more positive things. So what would you say, like, if you could tell someone one thing that's the most helpful for you, what is that one like tool that you resort to the most to pull yourself out of the ruminating and out of the spiraling?
The one thing that has really helped is honestly being in fire school during all of this.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You're put into situations that you would never expect, and you're expected to function at the highest level.
Sure.
Underneath all this stress, with not just worried about your life, saving someone else's life, and being accountable for your team and your team members. Mm-hmm. Realizing that I'm already doing hard shit that I didn't think I could do before.
Oh my God, yeah.
And relating that to what I'm going through right now has been a huge game changer.
That's awesome.
Like, I think, like we were talking earlier, like I had mentioned it, like on Thursday, they set up a ladder course. So we had to go up and down ladders. First ladder we had to go up is a 3-story ladder up the fire tower.
Yep, that's a no.
My God.
That's a no for me.
No, that's a no thing. I don't get on the top of the RV, so I paid a guy to get the snow off the RV the other day. So,
and that's only 12 foot high. So kudos, Anthony. Okay. Yeah. So what'd you get at? What did that feel like?
That was probably one of the scariest things that I've done in my life. We set up the ladder. We tie it off up top. You get on the ladder. It's not very. It's shaking. There's wind blowing when you get up. It's bouncing as you're going up the ladder. It's bouncing as you're going down. You get up 3 stories and you can look around and you're like, I'm up 3 stories without a harness on, in full gear. I'm carrying an axe. Ooh, this is a lot. But you take it one rung at a time and you focus on the task at hand and you get through it.
So I could have bet that you aren't thinking anything else. You're totally in the present.
Like you got to be focused.
You got to be in the now, thinking. You're not thinking about nothing at that moment because your life's on the line, and the person, your buddy or whatever,
or the person you're saving.
You're saving. I mean, so wow, that's cool.
That's powerful. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that always helps me through all the training is if your daughter was up there or you need to get your daughter out of that building. Some like dragging a victim out. Like my buddy has a family that is depending on me to get him out of here, get him out of this shit, get him home alive, whole, so he can see his little girl. Like that stuff is what really motivates me in those situations.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for you.
Oh, thank you for your service,
yes.
even though you're in Fire Academy still.
No, I can hear your heart, and I'm saying hells no. I'm going to stay home with my daughters. That's how I'll take care of my. But no, I'm thankful for guys like you. We had an incident the other day here where the police and the fire department had to come out and. You know, they got to do their job, and they don't know what's expect on the other at side. Any given time. Mm-hmm. What's on the other side of the door, and it's you're putting your life at risk at every call. And yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's one of the first times like someone's thanked me. It feels weird every time because, like I said, growing up with my parents in the military, we get stopped all the time, and they get told that. I'm like, that's just my dad. Like, what are you doing?
Right? Now it's you.
Yeah, we used to do that with our son. Take him anytime he
if
would
we saw
see
him, anybody first responders,
in any
walk
uniform,
up and shake their hand.
Yeah, he would always go up and thank him. That was kind of cool.
Well, we are at our 30-minute mark here. We'll definitely talk more with Anthony, and you can catch some more on some behind the scenes discussion possibly. But Anthony, what is something that you would love to leave the audience with that you feel is important that you really want put out there in the universe?
Don't give up on yourself. I feel like it sounds cliche, but the one Will Smith movie where he's like, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something.
Oh, are you talking about the Pursuit of Happiness?
Exactly, yep.
Love that movie. Love it.
Because there's always going to be people that doubt and tell you what you can and you can't do. And that's been my whole entire life. People have been telling me, oh, you're not going to do this, you can't do that. And I always prove them wrong. So,
I like you, man.
Awesome.
People tell me I can't do something. That just gives me more vinegar and piss to go do it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, we're going to sign off here. Thank you guys so much for listening and being part of this Evolve episode with our special guest, Anthony. Yes. Go ahead. What did you want to say, Gregory?
We always have to say like, comment, and subscribe, and share.
And share. And share. So until next time, everyone, be evolving, people.